All right, everybody, how we doing today? Ooh, old Pops is back, and we got some BTS today. We got a mini documentary on the guys. I guess you'd say, how BTS became the biggest group on Earth. I'm looking forward to this and see what they got to say on this. Because we know how big BTS is, right? And the new album, by the way, is absolutely a banger. It's fire all the way through it. It's fantastic. So, let's find out what they got to say. Please go support BTS and the Noit. I'll leave the information, the original video link down in the description. That's what we're all about, supporting the artists, creators, all that. And if you want to hit the subscribe button on us, we'd love to have you along for the ride. You want to see more from BTS? Drop it down in the comments and let me know, and we'll get it done as fast as we can. Yes? All right. Let's check it out, though. Let's go.
They were told the Western Wall was too high.
Yeah.
They were told a small agency couldn't survive the monopoly of the industry's big three corporations. But impossible is not a word that exists for BTS.
I'm spending half of my life with them. My second family.
뭐 고통도 있을 거고 뭐 결국 그 끝은
당연하게 돌아와야 될 곳에 돌아왔다고 생각이 들고
An undeniable conquest, joining the global music industry and completely dismantled it. 7 boys, 7 distinct empires, and one entirely abnormal legacy.
저 7명이 함께 이 길을 계속 걸어갈 수 있...
The foundation of this global takeover began in the financially strained offices of Big Hit Entertainment. Producer Bong Si-hyuk originally conceptualized the group as a pure hip-hop crew centered around underground rapper RM. The initial objective was to bypass the highly manufactured, traditional idol trainee system entirely, focusing instead on raw, lyrical authenticity. However, shifting market trends and a tightening budget forced a massive strategic pivot. To ensure commercial viability, the agency expanded the roster, creating a hybrid entity designed to merge underground rap credibility with the synchronized precision of idol choreography. They were positioned as a direct counterculture voice against the pristine, highly curated image of early 2010 K-pop, bangtan Sonyeondan, a promise to block out the stereotypes, criticisms, and systemic expectations aimed at adolescents like bullets. The conceptual blueprint materialized into their official debut in the summer of 2013, initiating a period defined by aggressive posturing and heavy old-school hip-hop aesthetics. Big Hit Entertainment lacked the capital to secure premium broadcasting slot, variety show appearances, or orchestrate massive media buyouts. And this systemic disadvantage forced the group to rely entirely on the raw, unpolished intensity of their live performances to cut through the saturated market. The visual direction for the era relied heavily on thick black eyeliner, oversized gold chains, graphic bandanas, and confrontational choreography that mirrored the 90s American rap culture.
Yeah, I think we have to remember in 2013, right, when BTS actually debuted, not only were they from a small company at the time, now one of the big four, right, but they were with a small company at the time, so they didn't have the money to secure everything, premium broadcast and all that stuff, but they were right in between the success of groups like Girls' Generation and stuff like that. And, of course, the one who opened the door, you know, who cracked the door open for a Western move from K-pop, Psy, of course. And the success of the 2 biggest girl groups in the history of music, you know, Twice and Blackpink, who were 2015 and 2016. So they were right in between that period, in a period of uncertainty, you know? So...
They presented themselves as rebellious youth, demanding an answer from a society that forced students into rigid, suffocating academic paths, using school buses and classroom sets as their primary visual battlegrounds. Commercially, the debut made a minimal dent, peaking at number 124 on the Gaon digital chart. By industry metrics, this was easily dismissible. But beneath the surface-level numbers, it established a fiercely dedicated niche audience, the foundation of ARMY, who resonated deeply with that unfiltered, anti-establishment messaging. The aggressive hip...
Now, here's a message to ARMY. Y'all got to settle down. Relax. The guys are successful. They're not going anywhere. Only place they're going is further up the ladder, right? Relax. Everything's okay. The guys know there's going to be boy groups behind them and what have you, and some good ones too. Don't get me wrong. Some very good ones. But we love BTS. So relax. Relax on the reactors and all that kind of stuff. It's all good. We love BTS. So
pop exterior could only take them so far before a sonic and visual pivot became necessary for corporate survival. Facing mounting financial pressure at their agency, the group completely abandoned their abrasive debut concept for the most beautiful moment in life era. This is considered to be the trilogy of albums that really got BTS on the path to stardom. The recording process shifted radically toward melodic, emotional synth pop, focusing on the vulnerability, despair, and fleeting beauty of youth rather than overt societal rebellion. The accompanying visual media executed a similar 180-degree turn. Big Hit discarded traditional, high-gloss sets for cinematic, narrative-driven storytelling that heavily relied on acting over choreography. The music video depicted the members running through rundown motels, gas stations, and dark alleyways, establishing a deeply complex, serialized visual lore that fans had to actively decipher. This precise combination of musical accessibility and intense emotional storytelling ignited their domestic fan base and finally caught the attention of the Korean general public. On the 5th of May 2015, the track secured the group's first ever music show victory on SBS MTV's The Show.
Right.
This broadcast win was the turning point.
저희 정말 열심히 했습니다. 그리고 저희 아미 사랑하는 아미 감사합니다.
Officially initiated their hostile, irreversible takeover of the Korean music industry. With their first taste of domestic success secured, the group completely abandoned adolescent angst on the 10th of October 2016.
I love that song.
The track Blood, Sweat, and Tears introduced a heavy moombot and trap sound to the Korean mainstream, a genre largely unexplored by other groups at the time. It showcases a vocal and rap delivery that was sensual, restrained, and entirely removed from their hip-hop origins. The conceptual framework was explicitly intellectual, drawing direct inspiration from Hermann Hesse's 1919 novel Demian. Visually, the era was a masterclass in opulence. Styled in velvet blazers and silk, the members moved through museum sets filled with Renaissance paintings and classical sculptures.
It's a great video,
This
too.
massive aesthetic gamble paid off. It culminated in their first ever Days Song for Album of the Year at the Melon Music Awards 2016. This specific, highly coveted victory marked the exact moment the industry paradigm shifted. Critics and rivals were forced to stop seeing them as trend-chasing idols and start viewing them as autonomous, globally viable artists. And that's not even the most insane part. What started as a domestic shift was about to trigger an international algorithm anomaly. The global music infrastructure.
Now, at this point, right, Twice had debuted, Blackpink had debuted, and I'm not saying they're the only artist out there, right? Twice, Blackpink, and BTS. Not saying that at all, but they are the three that really just, I mean, they completely knocked the wall down to international recognition of K-pop, right? Yes, Psy opened the door. Okay, let's not mistake that. Psy opened the door. He cracked the door open and said, okay, we can do this. And then these BTS, Blackpink, and Twice just, I mean, they didn't just kick the door open, they kicked the wall down.
Was fundamentally unprepared for how fast BTS's digital footprint was growing. In May 2017, they officially breached the Western Wall by attending the Billboard Music Awards in Las Vegas.
At the Billboard Music Awards, oh my gosh. Army, our friend, and thank you very much. 정말 사랑하고 감사합니다. 더 멋진 방탄소년단 되겠습니다. Thank you, Billboard.
A victory driven entirely by the digital coordination of a global fan base.
To call these guys international superstars honestly feels like an understatement.
Breaking into the American market was merely the first hurdle.
Yeah.
Establishing a sustainable, respected global philosophy required an entirely new conceptual framework. On the 18th of May 2018, the group launched a new philosophy, a multi-album narrative exploring the darkest sides of identity.
Love that song too.
The lead single, Fake Love,
Fake
utilized
Love.
heavy emo hip-hop and suffocating rock elements to convey a sense of psychological exhaustion. The visuals mirrored this descent. Gone were the bright colors, replaced by massive practical effects of collapsing floors, exploding rooms, and rushing walls of water. A physically manifested internal distress of realizing that one must fundamentally love themselves before attempting to love another. The choreography itself looked less like a dance and more like a desperate struggle. This theme resonated on a scale previously thought impossible for a non-English release. And the album Love Yourself Tear catapulted to #1 on the US Billboard 200, making them the first Korean act in history to reach that milestone.
And that's when the West started taking real notice, right? With stuff like this, because it had some meat to it in the lyrics, you know, which we don't have a lot of here anymore. I hate to say it, I hate to be perfectly honest about it, but we don't have a lot of meat in music around here anymore. There's not a lot of lyrics that, you know, that make you go, oof, oh, that's good. Oh, that's a great statement. What a statement to make in music. You don't have a lot of that here anymore, you know? Like Fake Love. I mean, we just don't. And that's what really carried everything, right? Because you started getting stuff like that from, you know, BTS and, I mean, through the guy groups, you can go BTS, Stray Kids, etc., and roll right down the line. And then, of course, you had Blackpink, and you had Twice, and you had, you know, Girls' Generation. I mean, it was just, it's crazy how good the music is, and there's always a message in there, right? Always a good message. Okay? Love yourself before you can love anybody else. Truth, right?
Their cultural influence subsequently transcended music entirely when they were invited to the United Nations General Assembly in September 2018, where RM delivered the iconic Speak Yourself address.
Find your name and find your voice by speaking yourself. I'm Kim Namjoon and also RM of BTS. I'm an idol and I'm an artist from a small town in Korea.
Cementing their status as global diplomats representing the youth demographic.
Building on our belief that true love first begins with loving myself.
By the summer of 2019, The group's philosophical dominance had translated into an iron grip on the global stage. On June 1st and 2nd of 2019, they officially broke the wall by becoming the first South Korean act to headline London's iconic Wembley Stadium. Selling out 2 consecutive nights in just 90 minutes, they stood where only the world's most legendary artists, from Queen to Michael Jackson, had stood before. Heading into the 2019 Melon Music Awards, the question was no longer if BTS would win,
축하드립니다. 방탄소년단.
but simply how many trophies they'd actually leave for everyone else. That night, the group executed an unprecedented sweep, becoming the first artist in the history of the ceremony to win all 4 grand prizes: Artist, Record, Album, and Song of the Year.
시호가 밥 한번 사라. BTS! 감사합니다, 여러분들.
그리고 고생 많으셨습니다. 정말 수고하셨습니다.
Mama Album of the Year goes to BTS!
저희가 여러분들한테 나타날 수 있을 것 같아요. 기대 많이 해주세요. 여러분 감사합니다.
Thank you, Jimmy!
This absolute domestic sovereignty was physically demonstrated through an extravagant 37-minute performance spectacle that made standard award show stages look tiny. By blending traditional Korean instrumentation and sword dances with their aggressive hip-hop tracks, they delivered something that felt more like an Olympic opening ceremony than a music show. The sheer magnitude of this sweep effectively ended any remaining debates regarding the Korean industry hierarchy. They forced the domestic audience and rival agencies to acknowledge their unparalleled scale. They did not simply win the awards that night, they systematically annexed the entire Korean entertainment sector, establishing a monopoly at the very top.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face facts here. They actually built Hype to what it is today. Period. End of story, you know?
Their domestic monopoly was unquestioned, but a global pandemic forced a sudden pivot to keep that momentum alive. With stadium tours canceled and the world paralyzed, the group made the tactical choice to record entirely in English. They crafted a retro disco track specifically designed to offer pure escapism during the darkest months of the lockdown. The song was titled Dynamite. The presentation was deliberately nostalgic, stripping away the complex lore of previous eras. The music video featured pastel suits, flared pants, and vintage record stores. It utilized a bright, unbothered color palette that contrasted sharply with the bleak, uncertain reality of the 2020 global landscape. This strategic pivot paid off on an unprecedented scale, successfully cracking the code of American radio play. The track debuted at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, maintaining the position for 3 total weeks. Dynamite transformed them from massive international stars into unavoidable household names, proving they possess the infrastructure to conquer the global market even when the world was standing entirely still. But what happens next completely flips the game, permanently transformed the very DNA of the industry. Between 2021 and 2022, the sheer scale of their success broke the metrics used to measure K-pop's viability. Before this, a group selling 1 million physical albums was a generational anomaly, a peak reserved for legends. But BTS began generating multi-million unit sales within hours of a pre-order launch, establishing a terrifying new baseline for the entire Korean entertainment sector. Industry observers and fandoms across platforms noted that what was once considered astronomical success had suddenly, brutally been normalized. The landscape shifted to the point where if a modern top-tier group fails to hit 1 million sales, they are heavily scrutinized by the public and labeled as entering a flop era. BTS made the mathematically abnormal look standard, forcing every competing agency to rewrite their financial projections. This BTS effect meant they were no longer just players in the game, but rather the creators. Fans and executives alike began holding entirely different groups to the sky-high standards BTS had established. They had become the impossible benchmark by which all future artists, regardless of agency or concept, would be ruthlessly judged. Having rewritten the commercial rules of K-pop, the group transitioned from pop stars to geopolitical figures. They released slick, bass-heavy dance pop track that entirely dominated the American summer. The song held the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 for an astonishing 10 weeks, proving their English language dominance was a sustained reality, not a pandemic-era fluke. However, this period of total chart monopolization coincided with a significant, disturbing rise in anti-Asian hate crimes globally. Recognizing their unparalleled influence, the Biden administration issued an unprecedented invitation. On the 31st of May 2022, the 7 members arrived at the Oval Office to meet with the President of the United States to address Asian inclusion and the surge in discrimination. The image of a Korean musical act leveraging their chart supremacy to leverage a platform at the epicenter of American political power was unparalleled in modern history. It definitively proved that their influence had permanently bled out of the entertainment sector. The industry was already whispering about the inevitable domination, but first, the BTS empire had to prove it could survive being split into 7 distinct pieces. Mandatory military enlistment forced an inevitable halt to group activities, launching an era of multi-front solo campaigns. Traditional industry hypothesis dictated that there...
And I think that was the real question, right? Because when they went into the military, when they went into their mandatory service, it was a real question as to whether everything would hold until they were out, until they were discharged, you know? Because with how fast BTS and a few others, and I say a very few others, had moved the industry and the standards of the industry, the music industry in general, not just K-pop, but how fast they had made everything move, would they still be viable when they got out of the service? That was a big question, and it was all over the place, you know. Can they hold up to it? Can the music hold up to it? Are they going to come back and split up, you know, disband, you know? There was a lot of questions around it.
Their immense influence would fracture and dilute without the collective BTS brand attached to every release. Instead, the members launched 7 individualized, globally dominant takeovers. Jimin explored dark, intoxicating synth pop with Face, making history as the first Korean soloist to top the Hot 100. Jungkook aggressively claimed the title of global pop prince with his album Golden, securing his own Hot 100 #1 with the track 7. Concurrently, Suga embarked on a massive, sold-out worldwide arena tour under his August D moniker, proving the lethal, standalone commercial viability of the group's rap line on a global stage without a single pop vocal track. Meanwhile, RMV, jhope, and Jin released critically acclaimed, highly experimental projects that systematically dismantled the traditional idol aesthetic. They explored everything from alternative R&B and indie pop to jazz and raw street dance concepts. This era provided the final, undeniable proof that the group's power was not a collective illusion or a marketing gimmick. It was backed by 7 individual titans, each fully capable of moving the global needle entirely on their own. For 3 years, the global pop landscape felt the weight of their absence, a quietude that persisted despite a relentless stream of solo chart toppers. But the 3 years of individual dominance and military service only heightened the global tension for their inevitable reunion. Bypassing the expectation of a safe English language anthem, the group announced their 10th.
Yeah, they had to. This comeback, right? The arirang album, it had to be huge. There was no way around it. It had to be huge, especially because even within Hype, right? You got, La Seraphim, and you got groups in there that were rivaling and are rivaling what BTS built for the company, just inside Hype itself, much less around the industry and in the Big Four. So, this comeback had to be just massive after the military service and the solo projects and what have you. It had to be. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Studio album, Arirang. The title alone signaled a profound return to their cultural roots, leaning into the thematic weight of the nation's unofficial anthem of longing and reunion. While the group previously performed a traditional arirang medley as far back as 2016 at KCON France, that early tribute was merely a whisper compared to the roar of this comeback. The concept for this era is a profound modern reimagining of a real historical event involving 7 young Korean men who traveled to the United States to make the first ever audio recordings of Korean music. BTS is using this history to bridge a 130-year gap. Back then, 7 students were the first to record the Korean sound in the West in 1896, and now, exactly 7 members stand as the ultimate architects of that sound in 2026. A studio album drop is simply not enough to contain the cultural and emotional weight of this return. On March 21st, the day after the album's release, the group will execute a historic live-streamed concert directly from Gwanghwamun Square.
Yes, and we did that concert. For those that would like to see it, it is on Patreon. You can start over there at $3 a month. But if you move up to $5 a month, you can get 1 request a month guaranteed as well. Plus, an extra request just for being a Patreon member when we are live on Friday nights here. Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Happy to do that for you just for being a Patreon member and a crew member over there, and we appreciate it very much. We do have BTS Live over there, though, and we've got a couple of special performances they did at, the Grammy Awards, stuff like that, too. So, yes, we do have this concert over there, and it was fantastic.
The official palace of Joseon Dynasty. They are effectively shutting down the center of Seoul to partner with Netflix for a massive, unprecedented global broadcast. The scale of this event will bridge the gap between an intimate domestic homecoming and an international digital stadium, allowing millions across 200 countries to witness the reunion simultaneously. Expect them to command the stage without losing a fraction of the raw, aggressive intensity that defined their rookie years. The story of BTS isn't a fairy tale about a boy band getting famous. They arrived in an industry that actively attempted to reject them, armed with nothing but raw ambition and an airtight discography, and proceeded to dismantle every systemic barrier placed in their path. Reaching the top of the K-pop industry wasn't enough. They established a standard of success so entirely abnormal that it remains out of reach for anyone else. They bypassed Western gatekeepers, rewrote Billboard history, and forced the highest political offices in the world to acknowledge their cultural weight. They had left the global stage for years, conquered their respective solo endeavors, and returned only to find their collective throne entirely untouched and waiting for them.
Yeah, and that album is fantastic. I love the new album. Yeah, y'all want to see more from BTS, you let us know. We'll get it done as fast as we can. No, I mean, you can't deny their weight in the industry. And I'm talking about the entire music industry, right? And the fact that they essentially, although the CEO was there and the team was there, they essentially built a company on their backs. Hype is Hype because of BTS. So yeah, fantastic. Y'all let me know what's up next. We'll get it done as fast as we can. Other than that, I hope y'all have an absolutely fantastic day, everybody. This Soul Pops. We are out.